So, as I'm sure most of you have already seen, OpenAI unveiled O3 as their last gift for us on their 12 Days of Shipmas. This model absolutely obliterates benchmarks of all kinds, even scoring 87.5% on the ARC-AGI challenge, which, as we'll discuss later in this video, might just be proof that AGI has been achieved. So firstly, I know you might be thinking, wait, when did O2 come out? I thought we were still at O1. And don't worry, you didn't miss the O2 release. As it states here, this new model is being called O3 to avoid copyright issues with the telephone company O2, and because CEO Sam Altman says the company has a tradition of being truly bad at names. Now that we cleared that up, let's dive into the benchmarks. By the way, shout out to Rowan Chung, he compiled them all in this one post here on X. I highly recommend you give him a follow. As we can see, we have a score of 96.7% on the AIME benchmark, which is a test comprising of some of the hardest high school math problems. This is a 13.4% increase in performance compared to O1 and a 40% increase compared to O1 preview. Just for even more reference, GPT-4o only scores 13.4% on this benchmark. It also scores significantly higher on the GPQA benchmark, which consists of PhD level science questions. The human expert score on this benchmark is roughly 70 to 74%. I found varying answers online, but this has already been surpassed with O1 and O1 preview, and now with O3 getting 87.7%, we're getting to a point where we may have to create entirely new benchmarks. This brings us to its performance on the ARC-AI FrontierMath Benchmark. As you can see, it scored 25.2%, and the previous state-of-the-art was only 2%. To get a little bit more context on what this actually means, here on the ARC-AI website, they give us the general explanation of what this benchmark is all about. Also, keep in mind, this is a very new benchmark. It was only created a few months ago. So they state, unprecedented difficulty. Each problem demands hours of work from expert mathematicians. Even the most advanced AI systems today, including GPT-4 and Gemini, solve less than 2% of them. True evaluation. All problems are new and unpublished, eliminating data contamination concerns that plague existing benchmarks. And finally, mathematical depth. Created in collaboration with over 60 mathematicians, FrontierMath spans the full spectrum of modern mathematics, from algebraic geometry to Zermelo-Frankel set theory. So I have no idea what Zermelo-Frankel set theory is, but it sounds like it's probably really complex and super difficult. And so just based on these 3 points here from their website, this benchmark seems to be the real deal. Even accomplished mathematicians like Terence Tao, for example, who is a Fields medalist and often regarded as one of the brightest minds in the field, stated, "These are extremely challenging. I think they will resist AIs for several years at least." And remember, this was created only a few months ago. So going back to its insane performance of 25.2%, this is a clear indication that the O3 model is in a league of its own. I mean, it's truly next level and a massive leap in performance in at least mathematics, which is a skill set that usually transfers over to other areas. This becomes apparent when we take a look at its performance on coding benchmarks. On the SWE Bench Verified, which is a benchmark that tests models' ability to solve real-world software engineering issues, it scores 71.7%, again, a massive leap compared to O1 and O1 preview. It also scores 2,727 on the Codeforces benchmark, which, to put that into perspective, is a score equivalent to the 175th best competitive human coder on the planet. So this O3 model is kind of insane. Obviously benchmarks don't tell the full story, but Sam Altman's somewhat recent prediction that they will saturate all benchmarks by 2025 is honestly starting to seem reasonable. Now, there was also of course its score of 87.5% on the ARC-AGI challenge, which has been stirring up a lot of controversy, but before we get into that, I have to mention that as OpenAI researcher Noam Brown stated on X, they announced O1 just 3 months ago. So we went from O1 to O3, which is technically supposed to be O2, in only 3 months. If you think about how long it took to go from GPT-2 to GPT-3 and then GPT-3 to GPT-4, there is at least a year between each of those models. And in the tweet, he also states, "We have every reason to believe this trajectory will continue." So this new scaling paradigm of inference time compute or test time compute is seemingly going to be a lot quicker than scaling pre-training or train time compute, which is what the GPT model series was based on. Sam Altman also said in a post on X that on many coding tasks, O3 Mini will outperform O1 at a massive cost reduction. I expect this trend to continue, but also that the ability to get marginally more performance for exponentially more money will be really strange. So essentially what he's saying here is that not only are these models getting cheaper, but the more money they spend on the model, the better it gets, which is exactly what this new inference scaling paradigm is. The longer you give the model to think, the more likely it is to get the right answer. And the cost to get this this model to think longer is exponentially decreasing. So okay, we're at a point now where we might be getting these new models every couple of months. Now, is this safe? It's hard to say, but as you can see on their official announcement of O3 preview, they're literally calling for safety researchers. Sam Altman further reinforced this point in another post on X, stating if you are a safety researcher, please consider applying to help test O3 Mini and O3. Excited to get these out for general availability soon. While it's nice and also surprising to see OpenAI looking for safety researchers, to me this is a clear indication that they're making progress a lot quicker than they expected. Now finally, let's talk about the ARC-AGI challenge. As I mentioned briefly earlier, O3 scores 87.5%, levels ahead of the competition. For those of you who aren't familiar with this benchmark, here's the president of the ARC Prize Foundation, Greg Kamrat, explaining what it's all about and why O3 score of 87.5% is so important.
Hello everybody, my name is Greg Kamrat and I'm the president of the ARC Prize Foundation. Now, ARC Prize is a nonprofit with the mission of being a North Star towards AGI through and during benchmarks. So our first benchmark, ARC-AGI, was developed in 2019 by Francois Chollet in his paper on the measure of intelligence. However, it has been unbeaten for 5 years. Now, in AI world, it feels like centuries is where it is. So the system that beats ARC-AGI is going to be an important milestone towards general intelligence. But I'm excited to say today that we have a new state-of-the-art score to announce. Before I get into that though, I want to talk about what ARC-AGI is. So I would love to show you an example here. ARC-AGI is all about having input examples and output examples.
Well, they're good.
They're good? Okay. Input examples and output examples. Now the goal is you want to understand the rule of the transformation and guess it on the output. So, Sam, what do you think is happening in here?
Probably putting a dark blue square in the empty space.
See, yes, that is exactly it. Now, that is really, it's easy for humans to intuitively guess what that is. It's actually surprisingly hard for AI to understand what's going on. So I want to show one more hard example here. Now, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think is going on in this task?
Okay, so you take each of these yellow squares, you count the number of colored kind of squares there, and you create a border of that width.
That is exactly it, and that's much quicker than most people, so congratulations on that. What's interesting though is AI has not been able to get this problem thus far, and even though that we verified that a panel of humans could actually do it. Now, the unique part about ARC-AGI is every task requires distinct skills. And what I mean by that is there won't be another task that you need to fill in the corners with blue squares. But we do that on purpose. And the reason why we do that is because we want to test the model's ability to learn new skills on the fly. We don't just want it to repeat what it's already memorized. That's the whole point here. Now, ARC-AGI version 1 took 5 years to go from 0% to 5% with leading frontier models. However, today, I'm very excited to say that O3 has scored a new state-of-the-art score that we have verified. On low compute for O3, it has scored 75.7 on ARC-AGI's semi-private holdout set. Now, this is extremely impressive because this is within the compute requirements that we have for our public leaderboard, and this is the new #1 entry on ARC-AGI Pub. So congratulations to that.
Thank you so much, yeah.
Now, as a capabilities demonstration, when we ask O3 to think longer and we actually ramp up to high compute, O3 was able to score 85.7% on the same hidden holdout set. This is especially important.
87.5.
Sorry, 87.5, yes. This is especially important because human performance is comparable at 85% threshold. So being above this is a major milestone. And we have never tested a system that has done this or any model that has done this beforehand. So this is new territory in the ARC-AGI world. Congratulations with that.
Also, according to Francois Chollet, the creator of the ARC-AGI challenge, an LLM that could surpass this human performance threshold of 85% would quite possibly be AGI. Take a look.
So suppose that it's the case that in a year, a multimodal model can solve ARC, let's say get 80%,
Sure.
whatever the average human would get, then AGI?
Quite possibly, yes. I think if you start, so honestly, what I would like to see is an LLM type model solving ARC at like 80%, but only trained on information that is not explicitly trying to anticipate what's going to be in the ARC test set.
Here was his reaction to the recent news. In a post on X, he stated, "Today OpenAI announced O3, its next-gen reasoning model. We've worked with OpenAI to test it on ARC-AGI, and we believe it represents a significant breakthrough in getting AI to adapt to novel tasks. Further, it's very expensive, but it's not just brute. These capabilities are new territory and they demand serious scientific attention." He also stated this, "So is this AGI? While the new model is very impressive and represents a big milestone on the way towards AGI, I don't believe this is AGI. There's still a fair number of very easy ARC-AGI 1 tasks that O3 can't solve, and we now have early indications that ARC-AGI 2 will remain extremely challenging for O3. This shows that it's still feasible to create unsaturated, interesting benchmarks that are easy for humans, yet impossible for AI, without involving specialist knowledge. We will have AGI when creating such evals become outright impossible." So what do you guys think about this? Personally, I would agree with him that O3 is not AGI, but I wouldn't say that it would take creating generalization tests like this to be impossible for us to finally say we have achieved AGI. Also, the fact that he talks about creating a second version of the ARC-AGI challenge seems like he's kind of pushing back the goalposts, especially given what he said in that clip from earlier. Now, there was some talk about how OpenAI actually used the ARC-AGI training dataset to train O3. As you can see here, it says, "OpenAI shared they trained the O3 we tested on 75% of the public training set. They have not shared more details. We have not yet tested the ARC untrained model to understand how much of a performance is due to ARC-AGI trained data." So O3 was trained on 75% of the public training set, meaning it may have already seen some of the questions in the full private ARC-AGI test. But Francois Chollet actually responded to this, saying, "This is the point of the training set though, to train your model on it. It would be even more impressive if the model had no prior exposure to ARC data, but the fact that the model was ARC adapted via the training set absolutely does not invalidate its score." So unless we come to find out that the O3 model not trained on the ARC training dataset does substantially worse than the O3 model that is, I would say this isn't really a big deal, although we won't know till we get those results, if we ever do. Either way though, O3 is extremely impressive, and it's important to realize that no one was expecting a score like this early. As it states here on the official ARC-AGI website, this is a surprising and important step function increase in AI capabilities, showing novel task adaptation ability never seen before in the GPT family models. For context, ARC-AGI 1 took 4 years to go from 0% with GPT-3 in 2020 to 5% in 2024 with GPT-4o. All intuition about AI capabilities will need to get updated for O3. Now, this step function increase comes with a price. As you can see here, they calculated the cost of having O3 take the ARC-AGI challenge. When using a lower amount of compute that falls into the guidelines of the actual ARC-AGI price contest, O3 scores 75.7%, and it costs them roughly $2,000 for 33 million tokens generated. And when using the maximum amount of compute they can, OpenAI scores 87.5%, and although they don't actually list how much it costs, we can infer from the number of tokens it generated, 5.7 billion, that it would have likely costed them around 350k. So obviously very expensive, but I mean, we're building AGI here. It's not going to be cheap. Anyways, to end it off, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about all of this. I've been seeing a lot of mixed responses of some people claiming this is AGI and others claiming it definitely isn't. To me, O3 isn't AGI, but it's definitely a major sign that AGI is close and that we're heading in the right direction with this new inference scaling paradigm. So let me know in the comments, do you think this is AGI or not, and why? And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date on future AI news just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, before you go, here's a new clip of Sam Altman discussing what's coming next.
It used to be a term that people used a lot, and it was this really smart AI that was very far off in the future.
Yeah.
As we get closer to it, I think it's become a less useful term. People use it to mean very different things. Some people use it to mean something that's not that different than O1, and some people use it to mean true super intelligence, something smarter than like all of humanity put together. We try now to use these different levels. We have a 5-level framework. We're on level 2 with agents now. Sorry, with reasoning now. Rather than the binary of is it AGI or is it not. I think that became too coarse as we get closer. But I will say, by the end of next year, end of 25, I expect we will have systems that can do truly astonishing cognitive tasks, like where you'll use it and be like, that thing is smarter than me at a lot of hard problems.